Melbourne, we're back in lockdown, and whatever plans you had for this weekend in your local restaurant or cafe, you may forget about them. Now I know they're all over the world, we're still in lockdown, so this Valentine's Day, let's do something a little bit special. I'm going to show you all how to cook a beautiful shortbread biscuit with a blackberry ice cream. To get started here, we need to prepare our fruit. Now I'm using blackberries, but you could quite easily use any fruit: mangoes, rhubarb, blueberries, strawberries. And the amount of sugar you put in just depends on that fruit. So for instance, if I were to use gooseberries and rhubarb, I'd have to put in a little bit more sugar just to make sure it was sweeter. But with the blackberries, they're pretty sweet. So I'm going to add just a little bit of sugar. I'm going to get them on the heat. I'm going to reduce it down to a puree and then just take as much water out of that as possible without letting it burn. So into my pot, I'll put my blackberries and my sugar. Get it on the heat and just low and just slowly simmer it down, and you can mash it up a little bit with a potato masher if you want, or at the very end you can blend it up. Now to start off, just on a low heat, and you just want to break the berries up a little bit just to reduce a little bit of that juice to have, and this will help them reduce down. Being careful that you keep a stir on it, because this will burn quite quickly. You can see by just simmering it off, all them juices are coming out, and it'll intensify the flavour. If you put the fruit in just raw into the ice cream, it wouldn't be as sweet. You wouldn't get that syrup through it, and the fruit would crystallize too much, and then you just get chunks of frozen fruit through the ice cream, which wouldn't be very, very nice. Once you saute your fruit off and you've reduced it down, let it cool down, and let it cool down to room temperature, and then put it in the fridge for at least an hour till it's completely cold before we go ahead and actually make the ice cream. While our fruit is cooling down, let's get our shortbread biscuit ready and baked. So I've got my bowl here, and I've got some plain flour, and that goes straight in. I've got my butter, and now you want to just break up your butter. And again, this is a pretty rich biscuit, as shortbread is. And what we're just going to do is just going to crumb it through. Now of course you can use a mixer, but again, it's such a small amount. And I do find that biscuits do turn out generally better, and pastries. In fact, when you use the heat of your hands, especially when you're using a method like rubbing butter and flour. And you know you're ready for the next step, and that butter and flour starts clumping together. Straight in with our sugar, and just combine it in there. And then the binding agent for all this is 1 egg, and just break it in there. Of course, you've washed your hands thoroughly before doing this. Just mix it through. Now, let's bring it all together with a little bit of flour. And you're just clumping it together. And you're not trying to knead this, you're just trying to bring it all together. If you try and knead it or work too hard with it, your pastry is going to get really, really greasy, and you don't want that. And you basically want to roll it into a log shape Now, Glad wrap. Just get our pastry into the middle of it there and tightly roll it in. And then with each corner, just grab each corner and just roll it up. And what this does, make sure it's nice and tight so you get a nice even log. Tuck it in into your fridge for at least 20 minutes, a couple of hours, even better. Now our fruit is cooled down, let's get our ice cream finished up and back in the freezer. First of all, let's whip up our cream. Next, let's combine our reduced fruit and our condensed milk. Add in just a couple of spoonfuls of the cream into our fruit mixture. And then add in the remainder of the cream and fold in gently. When that's evenly combined, into a tray, cover the top with greaseproof paper and back in the freezer for at least 6 to 12 hours. Now while our ice cream is in the freezer firming up, let's get our biscuits into the oven and baked because we need them cold before we put the ice cream in the middle. So I've taken my dough out of the freezer here and I've let it rest for a couple of hours. I'm just unwrapping it. We want to cut it into decent portions because I want a big biscuit to capture as much of that ice cream as possible. Giving it plenty of room on the tray to expand and flatten out so you get a nice big biscuit. Into the oven 15 minutes at 180 Celsius. Our biscuits are ready and they've cooled down and our ice cream has been in the freezer and it's solid and we're ready to go. So to put all this together, we just want to dust our biscuits with just a little bit of ice and sugar. Now onto our plate. And the one with the icing sugar goes on top. And just squeeze it down. And then just repeat the process. If this treat doesn't earn you some brownie points, nothing will.